I'm a Barbie girl. I'm in a Barbie world. I would obviously know from personal experience that life in plastic is fantastic. And you could brush my hair and undress me literally everywhere.
You know, I'm going to say this before I forget, because I meant to do it at the top of the stream. I forgot. Guys, make sure to like and subscribe. I need to be doing that more often. I'm terrible at it. Like, subscribe. I got a Patreon. You can get all the old live streams pretty much behind paywall if you become a member. And then I'm updating the Patreon. So, like, if you just want to go to Patreon and sign up over there, I'm going to start uploading this live streams over there as well. So you can check those out. Yeah, that'd help me out a lot. But one of the things that obviously did get a lot of attention is, unfortunately, this guy. Ben Shapiro. I think this was a Facebook post, or it might have just been all his social media post. Last weekend, was it last weekend or the weekend before last? God, my memory. Well, it's not this weekend. Yeah, it had to be last weekend then. Anyways, last weekend, Oppenheimer. I was kind of assuming it'd be a quiet weekend and there won't be a whole lot going on. And then suddenly Ben Shapiro posted this gem of a post. My producers, and just to explain exactly what he means when he says my producers dragged me to see Barbie, what he's saying is my employees dragged me to see Barbie. Just want to make that completely clear. Somehow his employees have the ability to drag him out to see Barbie. And it was one of the most woke movies I've ever seen. My full review of this flaming garbage heap of a film will be out on my YouTube channel tomorrow at 10 a.m. ET. And you know what? We haven't seen a Ben Shapiro movie review in a while. He doesn't do a ton of them. And he is terrible at movie analysis. So you know what? It might be fun. It might be fun. So I guess we will dive into this. And you know what? I didn't actually realize how many videos Ben Shapiro releases, because he posted 8 days ago. And, like, he's already done this many videos. I mean, it must be nice to have, like, separate editors and stuff like that working on your channel. He's already done a couple based on this Barbie review. Over 2 million views. So, hey, good for him. Good for good old-fashioned anti-woke grift. I almost feel like when he posted this, it was kind of interesting. When he posted it was almost like the bat signal for all the other anti-woke, anti-fans out there. Barbie, we gotta go after Barbie now. Because it's like, you didn't really hear them talking about Barbie until this little gem went out. So yay. So let's see. Let's see what his brilliant take on Barbie will be. I'm sure it'll be genius.
Well, folks, I just got back from the...
You just got back from Barbie. Oh, I have seen this clip on Twitter. He's going to burn a whole bunch of Barbies. And so we get to decide what reality this is. So either A, he was so furious at the movie, he went to the store and bought a lot of Barbies to burn them here. So, you know, maybe... So I don't think Mattel's going to be unhappy about that. I think they're fine with that. B, you know, this is from his own private collection, which traditionally I think men collecting Barbies is 100% fine if that makes him happy. However, I am fine mocking Ben Shapiro for that because he would mock other men for that. Or C, he is stealing them from his children, in which case he's just being a dick. But hey, whatever. Yeah, 40, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, he's kind of lying. Like, he destroys it for 43 minutes, but then he can't actually quite do it for 43 minutes. So, he's overselling it a bit.
The theaters seeing Barbie and Oppenheimer. I'm about to review both of them. I'm going to tell you which one of these is the best blockbuster of 2023 and which one is maybe the worst.
I bet he loved our movie, right, Ken?
For those of you who can't wait that long, I'm going to give my review of the Barbie movie in the most Oppenheimer fashion.
What the f***? Run.
So wait, does he destroy Barbie for 43 minutes, or does he talk about Oppenheimer too? And actually, I mean, we talked about it on the Fandom Initiative last Wednesday. I don't know if it's still up on anybody's. I guess it would just be mine and Dane's last week. I don't know if mine's paywalled. I don't know if his is paywalled. And also, by the way, like if you're looking for our streams, mine are usually just paywalled. You have to be a YouTube member. And I'm slowly posting them up on Patreon, and Dane is actually slowly posting his on Patreon as well. So you can check them out. They're just paywalled. I know my entry is 99 cents. Probably something similar for Dane. So check them out. But anyways, yeah. Does he destroy Barbie for 43 minutes, or does he talk about Oppenheimer? I feel like the title might be lying.
So the things I do for my audience, my producers dragged me to go see Barbie movie.
Well, I guess he's showing it off. Like why? Like, how do your employees drag you to see Barbie movie? Like, if you don't actually want to see it, just say no. I mean, I wasn't particularly interested in the Barbie movie, except Greta Gerwig was directing, and then I saw it was going to be popular, and then I saw that got really good reviews, and I thought, check it out, and I enjoyed it. Ben here doesn't strike me as a Greta Gerwig fan, probably mainly because he's really bad at understanding media. But hey, we haven't even gotten to this thing. Let's see what he actually says.
Barbie the movie. And I have thoughts. This video is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Let me begin with my generalized assessment of
ExpressVPN. That's a reason not to get ExpressVPN.
the movie. This movie is not just a piece of shit. This movie is a flaming piece of dog shit piled atop an entire dumpster on fire, piled atop a landfill filled with dog shit. It is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. On every possible level, it is a horrific movie. The only thing that can be said for this film is production design. The production design is really nice. The costumes are really nice. Also, it's really hard to screw that up. It's really hard to screw that up because you literally have this to model after. All you have to do is this, but big. Okay? It's really not tough. But put aside all of the beautiful costumes, which
I mean, I could bring up the production difficulties with doing that, but big. It's not just that, but big. Like, you have to have good, like, set designers and shit to do that, but big. It's not just that, but big. There's more to it than that, Ben.
which is there for the ladies, and all of the production design and the Barbie universe and all of that. Every joke that happens in this film happens basically within the first 45 seconds of the film. So, for example, Barbie turns on the water and there's no water. Ooh, because, like in Barbie house, there's no actual water. Do you get it? And then she drinks, but there's no actual liquid in the actual cup. Oh my God, because she's a Barbie doll. Oh, I get it. Okay, that's all the jokes. There are no more jokes for the rest of the film.
There's a lot more jokes. That's like the jokes for like the first 5 minutes, Ben. Maybe he didn't watch very far.
The movie's a show. Okay, so conceptually, the movie is a show. I want to ask this. Who's the intended audience for this film? Who's the intended audience for this film? So I'll tell you who the intended audience for this film is. And I can tell two ways. One, the previews on the film, and two, the people in the audience. So the intended audience.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and throw out a guess that the intended audience for this movie is not conservative middle-aged white dudes. Just throwing out a guess.
For this film is moms and their 8-year-old daughters. That's the intended audience for the film. I know because the previews for the film were all kids movies. I'm talking like G or PG rated kids films. We're talking like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Trolls 4 or whatever it is. Those were all the previews, right? All the previews are actually directed at what the audience is supposed to be for this film.
Okay, so you can look at the previews for this movie and say, they think that's the audience that think they're going to get for that movie. Sure. You could also look at the fact the movie's rated PG-13, Ben, and determine its intended audience on that, because that would actually be an accurate assessment of the movie.
And if you look in the audience, it's a bunch of moms, like youngish moms, middle-aged moms, with their 6, 7, 8-year-old girls. That's the entire crew. This movie is not made for any of those people. In fact, this movie is made for no one. This movie is going to make a bunch of money week one because the marketing effort has been...
Wait. You're saying this movie is made for no one, but it's going to make a whole bunch of money. It sounds like it's made for someone.
extraordinary. I mean, whoever's the marketing team over at Warner Brothers is doing an amazing job week one, this thing is going to clean up at the domestic box office. My prediction is going to just absolutely fall off a cliff after that. The repeat business on this movie is going to be non-existent because it was written.
Ooh, we actually have second weekend numbers. We're going to have to check that out real fast. Because I'm pretty sure let's see what the second weekend numbers are. Because according to Ben here, it fell off a cliff. Barbie has fallen off a cliff, guys. It has collapsed in its second weekend. Wallace and Gromit fan, do not spoil this, okay? Ben has told us that this has fallen off a cliff, okay? It clearly has. Guys, yeah. I'm sorry. Like, what you heard about this movie is incorrect. Ben Shapiro's right. Because it has fallen off the cliff here. Because, look, it has a spectacular hold on its second weekend, earning $83 million. Which, I mean, that sounds like it fell off a cliff. Drastically. What a colossal bomb. Wow. Just how poorly this movie is doing right now. Only $93 million in its second weekend. Was at like a 40% drop? It's less than 50. It was projected to 84. It's a 43% drop. That's really good. Like, when you watch box office numbers for a movie to open at like 150 and only do a 43% drop, that's actually really good. It's at 774 worldwide box office. It is, wow. It's going to actually take a miracle for it not to cross $1 billion. That's amazingly good. Or, as Ben Shapiro calls it, falling off a cliff. It fell off a cliff, guys.
Written by two people who are so smug and self-satisfied, in Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, that they have no audience. I mean, like...
Yes, no audience. It's for the movie that's about ready to cross $1 billion. Yeah, no audience. Fucking nailing it, Ben. Well, I like, so far, his only actual judgment of the movie is that he didn't like the jokes. And then now he's just like, oh, it's shit. And then Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, but I don't know the name of his last. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. But essentially, his argument is that they suck. Good for you, Ben. Well, I mean, I could see why you think Greta Gerwig sucks, because if you're incapable of properly analyzing media, you probably would think she sucks.
Who thought it's a great idea? Let's bring on the people who wrote Lady Bird and Marriage Story to make a movie about a plastic doll that is generally played with...
Oh, Brightburn. I just did, I did the Barbenheimer... Well, I couldn't do the full Barbenheimer. I couldn't do them, like, back-to-back. So I did them over last weekend, though. I did one on Saturday and one on Sunday, and I have a video on the channel about it.
By 5 to 9-year-old young girls. So the basic idea of the film, they really have no basic idea of the film. They don't know whether they hate Barbie or that we're supposed to kind of like Barbie. It seems they kind of despise Barbie as a fascist emblem, as we'll get to. The basic...
Really? Okay. You know what? Ben needs to make his case. I'm going to let him make his case.
Sort of premise of the film, politically speaking, is that men and women are on two sides of the divide, and they hate each other. And literally the only way you can have a happy world is if the women ignore the men and the men ignore the women.
Not the moral of the movie. Ben, you are extremely poor at reading media. The only way we can have a happy... Like, using this movie, and it's actually a good lesson, the only way we can have a happy world is if everybody just learns to be themselves and learns to be happy with themselves. That's it. It's not that deep, Ben. I can understand having the inability to read it because you're not a very deep person, but that's all it is. It's very simple.
That seems to be the final outcome of this film. I was trying to separate this into problems with plot and problems with character and problems with the politics of the film, but they're all intertwined because the thing is just a mess. It doesn't make any sense. Plot-wise, it makes no sense. Character-wise, it makes no sense. So let's...
Okay, I mean, he's just saying it doesn't make any sense, but, can you give me specifics?
Let's just go through it from the beginning. Okay, there's going to be lots of spoilers, but believe you me, I'm about to save you so much time because this movie is 2 hours. It feels like it is longer than the Wagnerian ring cycle. It doesn't...
Well, Devi, Greta Gerwig has become the newest punching bag for the anti-SJWs. Yeah, anytime a woman gets to prominence, In the Hollywood system, it seems like that's what happens to her. Haven't you noticed? It's a repeating cycle. They were just doing it to Phoebe Waller-Bridge because she was involved with Indy 5. And now they'll do a little bit of Greta Gerwig. It's almost like any time a woman rises to prominence at all, they do it. It's weird, right? Is that a weird coincidence?
Does not end. Every scene is at least 2 minutes too long. Every single scene, every beat is 2 minutes too long. It is a bad film.
Well, wait, is it every beat's 2 minutes too long or every scene's 2 minutes too long? Because, Ben, there's a difference between a beat and a scene. There's a difference. But, okay.
Put aside the politics. Like, really, I was sitting there with a bunch of my producers. I'm a little bit more political than my producers. My producers were...
Yeah, I guess, is Ben Shapiro political? Is he mildly political? I don't know. I can't keep up.
Watching this, putting the politics aside, it is a bad movie. So why is it getting 91% on...
Okay, so explain. Why is it a bad movie? Putting the politics aside, it's a bad movie. Okay, Ben, why?
Rotten Tomatoes? Because the way that it works for the reviewers is if you have the right politics, and those politics are sufficiently slyly inserted...
Whoa, wait a minute, Ben. You literally just said, putting the politics aside, this is a bad movie. And now you're saying, hey, the reason it's got good reviews is because of the politics. Well, wait a minute. Are you saying it has... Actually, that's an admission that it has good politics, isn't it? That you like the politics of this movie, Ben? Ben? What are you doing, Ben?
Then it will get a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, even if the thing is just dreck. And I mean, boy, is this dreck. This is a Death Star-sized piece of dreck. It is like, that's no moon. That's a dreck station. That this movie. Okay, so let's jump.
Get it? He did a Star Wars reference. Okay, he's got his notebook now. We're going serious on this one. He's gonna the middle-aged conservative man's gonna break down the Barbie movie for us. I'm sure he will bring all his conservative middle-aged man talents to analyzing this media for us.
Jump into it. I have like pages and pages of notes on this horrific piece of... I mean, my goodness. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. So it's from the beginning, you know what this movie is going to be, and it's going to be a very cynical take on what Barbie is, which is so weird. I don't know why Mattel would turn over its IP to filmmakers who clearly hate the IP.
Okay, again, Ben, you've said this multiple times, so you've already established that you think the filmmakers hate the IP. Where's your evidence that they hate the IP? I would like to see that.
It's as though you were going to make Toy Story, except that toys are all evil. They're all bad, and you're supposed to hate them, and you should burn them. Because that's kind of the message of the film, is that...
Okay, I think you walked into the wrong movie. That's not the message of this movie.
The Barbies are bad for the world. Okay, so it begins by trying to uphold the original vision of Barbie. What was the original magical vision of Barbie? We have Helen Mirren here to tell us, in the form of a narrator apparently played by Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who's speaking from heaven. And...
What? Ruth Bader... What?
We get a 2001 A Space Odyssey flashback. Which, again, who's the audience for this? Like, the reference points in this film, it references variously Marcel Proust. It references Robert Evans and the cinematography of The Godfather. It references 2001 A Space Odyssey. This is a movie made for moms and their 7-year-old girls.
So, are you arguing that... Well, number one, the movie is PG-13. It's not really made for 7-year-old girls. It's made more for teenage girls. But let's move past that. Are you arguing even if you don't get that reference, you wouldn't enjoy that beginning? Because the beginning does a solid job of establishing kind of the history of Barbie, essentially, in 2001 style. You can totally enjoy it and not get that reference. So I don't know why it's necessary for you. Like, it's like he's trying to argue you need to watch 2001 to understand Barbie, and no, it's a joke to set up the movie.
Well, folks, wasting 2 hours of my precious time, 2 hours I will never get back, 2 hours where on my deathbed I will wish that I had not spent that time doing, makes me viscerally angry. But I'm going to talk to you about something that makes me much happier, and that is our trusted privacy partner and premier...
Wait, Ben, you're supposed to spend 43 minutes destroying Barbie, and now you're talking about ExpressVPN. Wait, you need to destroy Barbie for this whole time. What are you doing? This is, you're lying. So he spends a minute. Type out ExpressVPN. Good, Ben.
Being a mom, you see. So if you ask your mom, she wants to play at not being a mom sometimes. Okay, so the basic premise is Barbie is supposed to be the independent woman who liberates all womanhood, but she fails. And she fails for two reasons. One, she's actually a tool of the patriarchal capitalist system. And two, the real world has rejected the message of Barbie, which is that women should run everything. Okay, so this is all not implicit. This is explicitly said. At the beginning, the monologue, you have Helen Mirren saying, because Barbie can be anything, women can be anything. At least that's what the Barbies think. See, in the real world, women can't be anything. And that's one of the messages of the film. In the real world, men run pretty much everything, which is weird. Who greenlit this piece of shit? I mean,
what? So, Ben, it's not quite the message of the movie. The message of the movie is that the real world and the Barbie land world don't quite, like, they're not the same. Are you missing that? Oh, well, let's see.
Greta Gerwig is a lady. She's making a good living off of this. Margot Robbie is playing the lead. In fact, the entire cast, aside from basically Ryan Gosling, is women. So it seems like women are doing okay.
Oh, yes. One movie that is primarily starring and featuring women means all women are equal in society. We've won. Sexism is over, guys. We've won because Barbie exists. Checkmate sexism. Boom. Is that his argument right there? That sounds like his argument. Oh, Ben. You're so dumb.
But, again, put aside the meta logic of it. I'm going to go through, like, a lot of beats here. So it starts off with the idea that mommy dolls are bad and insufficient. But then they criticize Mattel for discontinuing a...
No, Wallace and Gromit fan, there are men in this movie. There's plenty of men in this movie, but, like, a lot of your main cast are definitely women. It makes sense as a Barbie movie. But yeah, I mean, Ryan, you get, Ken's obviously got Ryan Gosling, Simu, I'm terrible, but the guy who played Shang-Chi is another Ken. Michael Cera is Alan, strangely enough, who apparently is part of the Barbie line as well. Let's see, and in the real world, you got Will Ferrell being like the corporate exec who runs Barbie or Mattel. There are men in this movie, but it's primarily women.
Mommy doll named Midge. Right? Midge is the pregnant doll and was discontinued. They're like, that's bad. Wait, but hold on, you just said that dolls about motherhood are bad, but then this one, don't look for any sort of logical...
There isn't a judgment call on it. It's just that it's discontinued. And it's brought up that it's discontinued. They have a couple weird dolls that are discontinued here. And it just, they're throwaway jokes, Ben. But of course, according to you, the only jokes in this movie are the fact that there isn't water when she drinks. And then you're throwing this away, which is actually a joke. But hey, yeah.
Coherence. There is a Citizens United reference. They say all of the members of the Barbie Supreme Court are women. And then they...
Yeah, actually, there was a Citizens United reference, which was nice. Essentially saying, in Barbie land, that corporations are not people and therefore can't be treated as people. So that's pretty based in Barbie land. I wish we could live in a world that based.
They are speaking out about Citizens United, that corporations are not people. It's literally a Citizens United reference. Who is the audience for this? Who is the 7-year-old girl?
It's like 10 seconds in the movie, Ben. Move on.
It was like, yes, I too have a very informed perspective on the Citizens United decision. And then they say that logic and feeling at the same time.
Well, Ben, what is your perspective on Citizens United? I'm guessing you support it, and it's a bad decision.
It doesn't diminish us. It proves that we are more than, right? It's all propagandistic. And then it sets up the dichotomy. The dichotomy is that men and women are in complete and utter contradistinction in terms of their roles. So women only exist if they are completely free of men, and men only exist if they are completely free of women.
What? Is that your read? Is that your read? Ben, you could have had a whole angle here. So the whole point of Barbie Land is that Barbies rule the world, Barbies have all the jobs, and Kens are just kind of accessories. And they're treated very much like second-class citizens, and it's not really pointed out to them because it's just kind of, they're used to it. And Like, there's a whole reverse sexism situation going on in Barbie Land, and you're just gonna skip over that? Oh, I guess it's probably not useful to your narrative. So, yeah.
And the problem is set up for Ken, is that Ken is dependent on Barbie, right? Because Ken is kind of secondary. And we also set up at the very beginning that Barbie doesn't like Ken. She finds Ken annoying. She finds Ken ridiculous, which, again, is sort of against the concept of Ken and Barbie.
Well, I mean, he is kind of, and did you understand that the point was that Barbie was evolving? Oh my God, I'm only 9 minutes in this goddamn thing. Shit.
But the basic idea is that Barbie is an independent woman and Ken is completely superfluous.
Which was the point of the toys. Ken was literally an accessory to Barbie. Did you miss that aspect of the toys, Ben?
Then go to the beach, and there's a scene on the beach where the Kens are supposed to be the lifeguards and the ladies are playing on the beach, and we get a series of gay masturbation jokes. Again, it's an audience for children. They're talking about beaching each other off, right? There's a line where Ken says to another one of the Kens, "I'm going to beat you off." Get it? You get it? Because it's like beat you off, but beach you off, and then they repeat.
Yes, Ben. It was actually quite funny. I would be shocked if you weren't actually laughing during that, because that was actually kind of funny. And also that was also kind of the joke too, because like, you know, you get Dr. Barbie and you get like Supreme Court Barbie, you get President Barbie, and for Ken, it's Beach Ken. So all they can do is beach each other off. That's it, Ben. That's one of the jokes. Of course, you said that wasn't a joke because that's not one of the initial jokes you first brought up. So apparently you thought that was being serious. His media analysis is so bad.
Repeat that no less than 4 or 5 times in the span of 45 seconds.
If I wasn't severely injured, I would beat you off right now, Ken.
I'll beach off with you any day, Ken.
Anyone who wants to beach him off has to beach me off first.
I will beach both of you off at the same time.
Beach both of us off?
Nobody's gonna beach anyone off.
Bazinga.
Because it's just such a great gay masturbation joke. You got to go for it. I mean, what else will the 7-year-old girls in the audience think if you don't go for the gay masturbation joke on the beach? Clearly.
The 7-year-old girls for the PG-13 movie. Just point it out, Ben.
We get black female President Barbie because this is, of course, the greatest of all possible worlds. So Kamala Harris, the Barbie version, is the president of the United States.
Whoa. How is President Barbie and Kamala Harris the same person remotely? Is it just because they're both black? Is that it, Ben? Is that like all black people are the same, Ben? Is that your point, Ben? I don't even know where to begin with that connection, Ben. The fuck? It's just a black President Barbie, Ben. That's it.
And then we get the break, right? Then we get the actual plot point. Plot point number 1. Barbie has irrepressible thoughts of death. So again, at this point, you might be thinking to yourself, wait a second, isn't this a kid's movie? Isn't this supposed to be made for 7-year-old girls? Nope. It's about existential.
Why you keep on saying it's for 7-year-old girls? It's a PG-13 movie, Ben. You can look it up. It's literally PG-13.
Angst over mortality. That's what this film is about. Now, again, interlaced through all of this is just more and more and more politics, right? One of the Barbies is a trans Barbie.
No, that is Dr. Barbie, who had to be played by a trans actress. But the fact that she is trans is never ever referenced in the movie. There are no trans characters in this movie. So calling her, like it even says right in that picture you picked there, this Barbie is a doctor. Not this Barbie is trans. This is not trans Barbie, Ben. This is just a trans actress. That's it. I didn't even know she was trans until people started talking about it.
And this is treated totally normally, as though this is a female Barbie with a...
But it's not a... none. You do understand that none of these Barbies have genitalia, right?
A voice, again, deeper than my own. So...
How... What? Okay, I don't remember her voice, but there was nothing awkward about her voice. It was fine.
Barbie starts to have these irrepressible thoughts of death. And this comes along with physical symptoms, like, for example, her feet flatten out. Again, this is one of the few cute jokes in the movie, is that Barbie walks around, and just like a normal Barbie doll, when you take off the shoes, the feet are shaped like the shoe, like the high heel. But now she's turning into like a real world person, and so her feet collapse, right? And so she goes to see Weird Barbie. So Weird Barbie is a Barbie that has been played with too hard and has all the knowledge, not only about Barbie Land, but also about the real world. And apparently there's a...
Well, I mean, they sell her like that, but she doesn't have all the knowledge of the real world. She has very fleeting knowledge of the real world, but she talks like she does, and she definitely has more than your average Barbie, but like there's definitely gaps to her knowledge.
Connection between the people playing with the Barbies and the Barbies. So if the people playing with Barbies are sad, then the Barbies also get sad. Weird that this has only happened to Barbie, because it turns out that lots of people are sad and have played with Barbies for a very long time. But that's the plot point. Fine. And again, the concept of like a Barbie that was played with too hard is very funny, because everybody has seen that before. And they somehow blow this. Somehow they make this into a not funny thing. So Weird Barbie is...
Really? You didn't like Weird Barbie? I thought Weird Barbie was pretty cool. I thought it was a fun concept. I guess he doesn't like it. Okay, fine, Ben.
Is ugly, and she has bad makeup and all the rest of it. And she informs Barbie she has to go to the real world, and she has to find the person who is playing with her, and she has to make that person feel better, because that will heal the problem that she's having in Barbie Land. Okay, so we have our plot point, right?
Which is technically true, but yeah, obviously that's not what ends up happening. But yeah, technically that would fix her problems.
Have the thing that's going to launch us off into the rest of the movie. And then it's just a complete mess from here on in. At least to this point, it's kind of dumb but coherent. From here on in, it makes no sense at all. Again, Kate McKinnon sets up the dichotomy that pretty much the makers of the film hate Barbie by suggesting that you can live in Fantasyland with Barbie and you can take the Barbie shoe, or you can take Birkenstocks, right? You can become like a Portland lesbian and you can learn about reality.
Oh, yes. Everybody who wears sandals like that is a Portland lesbian, Ben. Nailing it. Good assessment, man. They can't just be sandals. You gotta be lesbian sandals. Is that... he's acting like, there's trans and gay people over this movie when there isn't actually any. There's no trans representation in this movie. There's no gay representation in this movie whatsoever. The closest you can get, actually, is if you look at the themes, and the themes of this movie are, you should find out who you are and accept who you are. And that's it. And you can apply that to being trans or being gay or being straight, honestly. You could... It's literally a lesson that could be applied to everyone in the world. Everyone. But, like, he has to look for stuff to make fun of, I guess.
That's going to be the choice that you have to make.
Imagine Ben watching The Crying Game. Oh, my God. They would have a field day over that one if that came out now. Fuck.
But not before she makes a joke about Ken and wanting to see the nude blob he is packing under those pants.
Somebody said that?
Perfect for 8-year-old girls, ladies, mothers, just be warned. Ken and Barbie head off to the real world to try to find...
PG-13 movie. Just gonna keep on saying that because he's trying to sell it like this is like being marketed to like 7-year-olds and stuff. It's not. It's PG-13. If you're comfortable taking your kids to a PG-13 movie, that is absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. I would probably take my daughter if she was 7 to this movie. Absolutely. Thematically, it's got some really nice themes. You could argue inappropriate jokes, but like they would need the jokes explained to them because it's not like, it's not like they're directly stating like what's going on. There's layers to it.
Find the person who is playing with Barbie. And immediately,
yeah, sleepaway camp would be the same thing.
Upon arriving in the real world, Barbie is hit with an overwhelming tsunami of sexism. Like right away, boom, she walks in and a bunch of men just leer at her and say, "Give us a smile, Blondie," which is something.
Actually, I'm trying to remember, do any men actually say that? Like, yeah, no, she's getting leered at a lot. And you can see women are looking at her because like part of it is also that they're really attractive. And another part is that they're dressed really flamboyantly because they're Barbies.
Something that no one under the age of 70 has said to a woman in the recent past. Give us a smile, Blondie. Seriously? Hey.
Okay, so give us a smile, Blondie. I don't know if anybody directly says that, but like men will still ask women for smiles, and it's still kind of cringe when you do that. Maybe try a joke instead.
We get Barbie explaining that all of the men who are leering at her and gazing at her, they have an undertone of violence Everything's she's threatened. She's physically threatened because this is the real world. The real world is not like Barbie Land. In the real world, all women are victims. They are deep and abiding victims of the system.
Okay. That's not what's going on. I mean, if we really want to dive into the statistics of sexual assault and the number of women who experience sexual assault in the real world, it's kind of startling. In fact, I would say that Ben probably knows at least a couple women in his real life who've been sexually assaulted. I know a couple who've been sexually assaulted. This is a thing women have to live with, and it's something that should be addressed. Now, it's not like Barbie, directly talks about sexual assault in the movie. It's just, hey, I'm getting leered at, and there's an undertone of violence to it that's kind of weird. Which probably lots of women experience that feeling. Yes, how dare this movie have a feeling? God damn it, we're 13 minutes in. Fuck, Ben. Are you gonna get to any substantial criticisms?
System. As we'll learn by the use of the word patriarchy no less than 10 times in this film. She gets arrested twice for various crimes. Even the police officers are rabid, raging sexists. The police officers are hitting on Barbie. They're making observations about her appearance. Ken, meanwhile, is getting super happy because Ken, who's been sort of an underling in Barbie Land, now he's realizing he's part of the patriarchy, and the patriarchy is awesome. Ken is loving the patriarchy. Now, you might imagine at this point that the way the film is going to go is that Ken and Barbie are going to have to some sort of agreement about seeing each other as equal human beings. You might imagine that's where it's going. Wrong. That's not where the film is going to go.
That's exactly where it goes, Ben. Again, we're dealing with your media illiteracy, probably just done to sell it to your audience, frankly. To miss the fact that that is exactly the point of this movie, means that you're purposely missing it, because I don't know if this movie could be any more clear.
Oh, you might have thought that what you were going to get was Ken gets treated with respect as a person, and Barbie gets treated with respect as a person, and that's a better. Nope, wrong. In the end, not to skip ahead, Barbie Land just gets restored, and the men are still subservient. That's the best. That's the best.
That is absolutely not what happens. Not what happens at all, Ben. Complete failure, media literacy once again, Ben. Good job, dude.
Version of the world. Okay, so Ken is walking around, and he's really enjoying the patriarchy and all of this, and he explains that men rule this world, and he goes to Mattel, and all the members of the board are men. By the way, I'd like to see a corporate breakdown of the Mattel board. I'll bet I can find it. The CEO of Mattel for 30 years was a woman. So there's that. They pretend that
Ben, they referenced that in the fucking movie. Did you you're nitpicking all this stuff and you missed the fact they referenced that? I mean, holy shit.
Mattel is all run by men. So now I want to know who's on the board. Okay, chairman and CEO is a dude. The board includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It includes 5 women. So it's 6 men and 5 women. Clearly patriarchal domination. Just wanted to look that up just for the sake of, accuracy.
Yeah, let's look for accuracy in the Barbie movie, guys. We need real world art accuracy here. Great.
Whenever I do these reviews, you're taking the movie too seriously. The movie takes itself too seriously, guys. It pretends to be a comedy, but it's taking itself super seriously. Fine.
Yeah, I pretty much I agree, Liam. I saw Barbie last weekend. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's totally different than Oppenheimer, which is another great movie. I'd recommend watching both, honestly. But yeah, Barbie is just a fun movie. Absolutely worth checking out. Unless you're unless you're a middle-aged conservative dude being dragged there by your employees, then don't watch it.
Fine. So it's all men at the top of Mattel, and they realize that Barbie and Ken have escaped Barbie Land. And this presents some sort of threat. What kind of threat? Because the writers are shitty, they don't bother explaining. They're just a threat. And Will Ferrell acts all weird and goofy, like Will Ferrell. And he's funny because it's Will Ferrell acting weird and goofy. But he's not funny because it's just Will Ferrell with no actual plot or dialogue to speak of, just being weird. We'll fill that in later. There's so many.
The threat is that they don't actually know what will happen. They don't know. And we pretty much find out at the end it's not a serious threat, but again, they don't know.
Place in the script where it's basically the writers they left a gap and they're we'll leave a couple asterisks, we'll fill it in later. And then later they got there and they're nah. We'll just skip right over it. Fine. So they figure they got to track down Barbie and Ken. And meanwhile, Barbie is trying to track down the girl who's playing with her. And she mistakenly thinks that it is a teenage girl who is playing with her and who is unhappy. And at this point, she receives a lecture from the teenage girl about how Barbie has ruined the world and actually is fascist. How Barbie is a sexualized capitalistic emblem. How Barbie has created...
Right now, he's reading this like so offended. I'm just visualizing Ben just going to the movie theater, so excited to watch this with like these Barbies in his hand. It's like, I'm so excited. And then like this teenage girl saying, Barbie's fascist. And Ben going, you're not fascist. No, my beautiful Barbies. I'm seeing that right now from his description.
Unattainable feminine ideals. How Barbie is ruining the planet with rampant consumerism. You get like this full lecture right in the middle of the film. It's truly awful. It's truly awful. She's called a fascist. By the way, it only sets up the...
Oh, she's called a fascist. Oh. Movie's automatically a fail. It has the F-bomb in it. It says fascist. Just worst movie ever.
The only good line of the film, truly in my opinion, there's one good line in the film. And that is where Barbie is trying to contemplate whether she's a fascist or not. And she says, I don't control the railways or the flow of commerce. Now, there's only one problem with that line, as with the entire movie. There is no character consistency. Barbie is supposed to be an idiot bubblehead piece of plastic from Barbie land. How does she know what a fascist is? How does she know?
Again, Ben, the Barbie doll is evolving to be more than a doll, which is why she went to the real world. It's not deep. It's not deep at all, dude.
What about the flow of commerce? Like, again, just in terms of character consistency, like characters who actually are the characters, makes no sense whatsoever. So, meanwhile, Ken is wandering around, enjoying the patriarchy more and more and more. And he keeps asking men about the patriarchy. And at one point, he asks a dude about the patriarchy. And the guy says, well, that's not really the way that it works here anymore. He says, really? He says, no, it still works that way. We just hide it really well. Again.
Yeah, systems of power have gotten better at hiding the patriarchy over the past decades, but I mean, we still live in a patriarchy, Ben. It's still there.
You can't even present the mild other side of the film. And this sort of nonsense continues. The first third of the film is about how Mattel is kind of bad for creating this fancy land. Second third of the film is about the real world evil.
Is it bad for creating the fancy land? Is that the read you got? I just read that it did it for money. That's the read I got.
Of the patriarchy. Oh, the patriarchy. Oh, the patriarchy. Culminating in an idiotic line where one of the...
I wonder if Ben's goal is to say patriarchy more than Ken does in the movie. Because Ken says it a lot in the movie. I wonder if his goal is to say it more in this video than Ken does.
Low-level members of Mattel is with the board, and Barbie is looking for a woman at the board. And the low-level man says, I'm a man with no power. Does that make me a woman? No, you can't parallel park. That's what makes you a woman. Okay? And in any case...
Ha ha.
We get here a few obscure jokes about Proust Barbie, because again, Noah Baumbach has to...
So, fun fact, parallel parking sucks. So, I don't know why you'd even bother do a joke about that, because it just sucks in general. Nobody enjoys parallel parking, Ben.
Showed that he wrote some of the script. He made a reference to Proust. Doesn't that make him clever? Ooh. Next, he will make a reference, I would assume, to Victor Hugo. Wow. Proust. Ooh. Idiots who think they're smart. It's total... Okay, then Barbie escapes the Mattel building.
So, like, in this brilliant Barbie movie that apparently Ben has visualized, like, could you not do references that a 7-year-old wouldn't get? Could you only do references that a 7-year-old would get, like Care Bears and shit? Like, what bar for references do you have to have? Especially, like it has to be references that a 7-year-old would get in a PG-13 movie. Just, okay.
They were going to package her up and they were going to send her back to Barbie Land. And she instead runs and she escapes the Mattel building. And she hooks up with America Ferrera. So America Ferrera is the actual one who's playing with Barbie as a youth. And it's her daughter who Barbie had originally approached. Twist! Hey, and she decides that in order to escape the Mattel executives, she's going to have to bring both of them back to Barbie Land. Why does she bring both of them back to Barbie Land? No one knows. There's no actual, there's no explanation as to why she's supposed to bring both of them back to Barbie Land. Supposedly, it's because she needs to escape back to Barbie Land, but she could do that without the two of them. But she decides she's going to bring them back. So she brings them back to Barbie Land. Meanwhile, the Mattel executive...
Okay, so it's been like a week since I've seen it, but isn't it just like they want to go and like explore the world? It's nothing too deep.
Are chasing her. Now, question, why are they chasing her? They achieved their goal. Barbie's back in Barbie Land. Why are they still chasing her? No one knows. It doesn't make any sense. They literally say, there will be consequences you can't even imagine. And then they're like, what consequences? And they're like,
Okay, so they're going to Barbie Land because the world is changing. So Ken has gone to and this isn't even fucking deep. Okay, Ken has gone to Barbie Land, and he and the other Kens have taken over Barbie Land. Because Ken's all caught up on the patriarchy, and he decided he's going to take over Barbie Land. And the whole toy line has now changed. It's completely changed. So the executives are saying, we need to go see what's up. It's not that deep, Ben.
fill in the blank. And some dude says something about a podcast with two trees. You're like, that's the laziest shitty writing. God bless it. Okay, anyway. So Ken, in the meantime, he has already headed, while she was, futzing around over at Mattel, Ken has already headed back to to Barbie Land, where he has immediately established the patriarchy. So just to point out here, the point of the film is that the matriarchy is amazing. Women are amazing at everything. Ken walks in.
No. Did you miss that? Like, in the beginning of the movie, we clearly see the matriarchy in Barbie Land, and the Kens are treated as an underclass. So, like, yeah, it's great for the Barbies, but it's not great for the Kens. Like, it's, like, right there, Ben. It's not even fucking subtext. It's there.
And within 2 seconds, he has taken over all of Barbie Land. And he has turned it into the Kendom. Within 2 seconds. Which apparently the women are so unbelievably competent and brilliant and great at everything over in Barbie Land that an idiot man walks in and takes over the whole place inside of 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a goofy comedy. And it's almost like, there's never been, like, a Ken revolution. And so, like, they didn't really know how to address it. Yeah, they're dolls, Ben. They're not deep.
Fine. So he takes over the entire place. We later learn that's because the women, they didn't know what was coming. We later learn they didn't have immunity. And the way that they get immunity is by learning to hate the men. That's the way that they have to.
That's not quite it. It's learning to think for themselves, Ben. It's not deep.
Learn to hate men. Okay, so Ken decides he's going to go back and he's going to establish his patriarchal system. We only learn this when Barbie heads back with America.
Like, how many pieces? Like, I want to see Ben Shapiro and holding on to his Barbies, watching this Barbie movie, and with his notebook, just holding on to his Barbies, and frantically scribbling his pages of notes on the Barbie movie, watching the Barbie movie as he's so upset over his childhood Barbie movie being destroyed. Like, what is this, Ben? What is this? What is this video you've made? My God.
America Ferrera and Random Daughter. And Ken immediately starts acting like the jerks in the patriarchy, right? He calls her baby. Oh, no. He calls her baby. The greatest of all insults. He calls her baby. And then America Ferrera is trying to explain to Barbie what exactly is going on. And she's like, it's just like the indigenous people and smallpox. They had no immunity. Howard Zinn wrote the script. So the ladies in Barbie Land had no immunity to the magic of the patriarchy, the magic.
Yes, sure, Ben. It's almost like it's a joke. It's a joke. It's not meant to be deep, Ben.
Women were seduced into... So, just to point out here, the actual argument the movie is making is that if women enjoy men, it's because they have been brainwashed by the patriarchy. They make this message explicit in just a...
that's... What's inaccurate about that, Ben? What's your point?
Few minutes in the film. And when I say a few minutes, I mean several years, because this film took years off my life. It is long, it is boring, and it's terrible. Okay, so the Kens are about to perform... None of this makes any damn sense. Okay, the Kens are about to have a vote to change the Constitution. Why? Why? Ken literally just sees power. He's a fascist. What the f*** is he going to vote for? Why are they voting? Like, he sees power. Also, what is the breakdown demographically of the Kens and the Barbies? Are there as many Kens as Barbies? Because why would they hold a vote? The Kens appear to be in a minority in Barbie Land. There are a lot more Barbies than Kens. So if that's the case, why even do the democratic vote thing? Why not just seize the power? because then you wouldn't have the rest of the dumb plot of this stupid film. So they decide they're going to hold the vote. And not only...
I think it's interesting how he's doing a point-by-point breakdown, treating this like it's like a serious movie, when it's literally like... It's a movie right now where they're in Barbie land and it's made up of dolls. And the dolls are obviously going to do a vote because it's a democracy, but it's obviously like a flawed democracy. But like, it's essentially just people playing with toys pretty much. And it's being done for jokes. It's not... I find it weird that he's treating this like it's a fucking drama.
They're going to hold the vote. They're going to be very fair about it. They're going to hold it in 48 hours. They're going to hold it in a couple of days to make sure that...
I mean, he is breaking down the entire plot. Like, this is a review, technically? I think he's trying to be, like, funny, too. By the way, the movie's way funnier. Like, the funniest parts of this review are when Ben shows clips from the movie.
The Barbies have time to actually form a counter plan. Why would they do that? No reason. Asterisk. We'll fill it in later. Okay, so they decide they're going to hold this dumbass vote. And the Barbies learn about this, and Barbie is very depressed because Barbie realizes that all the other Barbies have been taken in by the patriarchy, and this is extremely bad. Now, here's one place where you have a serious continuity error in the film. So, Margot Robbie, who plays Barbie at the beginning, half the time she plays Barbie is kind of stiff, like a doll, and half the time she plays Barbie is just kind of normal. And so...
Yes, it's... As she goes through the movie, she loses that doll-like stiffness because it's the evolution of her character. It's a character arc, you could say, Ben. It's a very deep movie.
So now she plays it super stiff like a doll. She sits down, in kind of 90-degree position like a Barbie would, and she keels over in the 90-degree position. And
well, maybe he's not trying to be funny. Maybe that's where I'm misreading it. Maybe this is Ben being very serious.
And it would be funny, except she hasn't been doing it the whole film. Again, the level of inconsistency and bad filmmaking here is just off the charts. They needed somebody to actually sit down with them and be an adult in the room, and no one was there. So, at this point, America Ferrera and daughter decide they've given up on Barbie because Barbie won't fight for herself. And so they take off. And Michael Cera, for no reason, is in this film. And he's in the back of the car, and we don't know why.
Yeah, I'm confused about that.
And he serves no purpose other than to have a random fight scene. And also so that they can make a Trump building the wall reference. Right? They're apparently the...
Oh... I'm sure that offended you, Ben. Oh, how dare they reference the beautiful, beautiful wall. It's a beautiful wall. It's gonna be beautiful. It's not gonna be mostly fence. It's not gonna be a money scheme. It's gonna be beautiful.
The Kens are going to build a wall to keep people from getting in or getting out. Now, here's the weird part. No one has ever entered or exited Barbie Land before. Why are you building a wall? What is the necessity for a wall? No one explained.
Because lots of people are going back and forth now, Ben. And it's a joke in a silly movie. The genre of this movie is comedy, Ben. It's a very silly comedy. You do understand that, right?
It's just a dumb Trump reference so that everybody who is friends with Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig can laugh and nod like the morons they are. And so the daughter and the mom, they decide, no, we have to go back and we have to save Barbie Land. They're going to save Barbie Land. And who do they go to? They go to wise, weird lesbian Barbie. They go back to Kate McKinnon.
Okay. I'm pretty sure the actress Kate McKinnon is a lesbian, but the character is a fucking doll. Like, he keeps on assigning, like, gayness and transness to these dolls, just because, like, actors will be those things, and that's not in the movie, Ben. It's not. These are fucking dolls. They have zero genitalia. Zero. But yet you keep on being like, oh, it's a trans actress, so it's a trans Barbie. No, it's fucking not. A lesbian Barbie. No, it's fucking not. It's just fucking weird Barbie and Dr. Barbie. It's not tough, Ben.
And they ask her about this. And they bring Barbie with them. And they're going to try to figure out a strategy. How do they stop the Kens from winning the vote? Now, you might say to yourself, wait, aren't the women majority? Do they not have agency, the women? They have no agency, apparently. So apparently the women have no agency and they are a majority, and yet they have to be deprogrammed. They're going to be deprogrammed by weird Barbie and her crazy cadre of feminist heroes.
I love you guys.
And this is when we start getting into the real the real, you think it's propagandistic so far? Oh man, wait. Here is where we get into like the real meat of it. Okay, so we end up with Barbie complaining. She's complaining to Weird Barbie. And she says, oh my God, they've brainwashed all the other Barbies. They've brainwashed all the other Barbies. She says, quote, either you're brainwashed or you're weird and ugly. There is no in between. And Weird Barbie says, tell me about it. And this is the perspective of the film. Either.
You think that's the theme of the movie? That's a joke. Oh my God.
You're a third wave feminist kook who hates men, truly hates men, or you're brainwashed.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Ken.
There's no in between. There's no actual relationship between men and women.
God damn, Ben, you are so triggered. You're just looking for those seeds. Oh, they said this. It's so offensive. Oh, God, I'm so offended by the Barbie movie. That was definitely made for middle-aged white conservative men. Definitely.
Women? There can't be any sort of fulfilling relationship between men and women. There are no decent males in the entire film. All the men are garbage. The only man who even appears mildly is America Ferrer's husband, who's...
all the men are actually, like, that's the thing. Like, I can't think of... Like, definitely, like, you could argue, like, Will Ferrell's an antagonist for a little bit, and, like, Ryan Gosling's Ken is an antagonist for a little bit, and the Kens are all kind of antagonistic a little bit, but, like, I don't know if I would be comfortable calling any of them actually bad guys, because they all learn, they all get better. Yeah, like, Ken, like, Ryan Gosling's Ken is, like, one of the main antagonists in the movie, but I still actually liked him. He was dumb, but I liked him.
Who's just kind of a joke. He's there for literally 10 seconds in the film, making jokes about how he can't speak Spanish. That's his whole role in the film. Every other man is a piece of shit in the film. Everyone. And so
really, that was your read. Okay, Ben.
This is the perspective of the film when you come right down to it. Either you are brainwashed or you are weird and ugly. And Barbie's like, yeah, that's what Barbie says. I mean, the only decent male is Alan, who apparently wants to wear pink and probably is supposed to be gay. I mean, I think it's supposed to be pretty.
He's a fucking doll, Ben. He has no genitalia, Ben. Quit, like, making everybody trans and gay. For fuck's sake, why are you so obsessed? There's literally zero gay representation in this movie. Literally no gay characters in this movie. Literally no trans characters in this movie. At all. Quit forcing it in there.
Pretty clear from the film. Although, really, the take of the film is that all the Kens are gay. That's really the take of the film. Is that
Really? Despite the fact they very much are into Barbie, even at the end. They're all gay. Jesus. This is kind of a glorious example of complete media illiteracy. And again, I know Ben Shapiro is a failed screenwriter, and it's just like when you see his media reviews, you can really see the failed screenwriter in him. But part of this also has to be for his audience, to just the inability to read this, like, pretty fucking simple movie that is just like a Barbie movie. It's a goofy fucking Barbie movie. And his inability to read it and, like, pick out things. It's like, it's almost a skill, Ben. Like, you're just skilled at doing this so goddamn poorly. It's kind of impressive. And if only you didn't use it for evil purposes.
It's all homoerotic kind of stuff.
Let's beach off.
Anyone who wants to beach him off has to beach me off first.
I will beach both of you off at the same time.
In any case,
Okay, dude, Ben, that was funny. The best moments of this fucking review are the beach off scenes you keep on playing, which are funny.
filmmakers are so insecure with even their own script that they then have the narrator jet in to say, Margot Robbie might not be the best person to make this point, right? Because Barbie's saying, I don't feel beautiful anymore. And they're like, Margot Robbie. They literally jet in to say, Margot Robbie might not be the best person to make this point. Then maybe you shouldn't have written the point.
It's a joke. It's a fucking joke, Ben. Holy shit.
Then maybe you shouldn't write it like that. Maybe you should not be a writer. Maybe you could do that. Okay.
It's a fucking joke. He's so offended. He's sitting there holding his Barbies, writing on his notebook, so offended at this movie.
No. Okay, this is when we get the full bore thesis of the film. And guess what, guys? The thesis of the film, made by women, made for women, made starring women, funded by a studio that is largely staffed by men.
Ben, right now you are literally making the point of the movie. This is literally the point of the fucking movie. Well, it's not the point. The point is that we should all be happy with ourselves and accept ourselves. But one of the points of the movie in the real world is that, like, on the surface there'll be women, but, like, behind the scenes making all the money and making all the major decisions, there's men still. And you're making that point right now.
The take of the film is that it is impossible to be a woman in the modern age. Absolutely impossible. And so we get this long speech of America Ferrera talking about how it's so difficult to be a woman. They want us to be this way, but not that way. They want us to be thin, but they don't want us to say that we're thin. They want us to earn money, but they don't want us to.
Well, do you want to know what's interesting about that speech? That speech could actually, like, a lot of the elements of that speech could actually apply to, like, everybody. Like, you know, obviously, like, there is an encouragement of men to be thin, but there is a encouragement of men to be in shape, and, you know, thin helps. Like, you could break down that speech and really apply it to everybody, and, like, an analysis of that speech could be made to show how the differences between men and women are not as steep as people like to fucking make out.
Earn money. They want us to do this, and they don't want us to do that. They want us to answer for men's bad behavior, but they don't want us to offend men. They want us to do this, and they don't want us. Oh my God, it's so difficult to be a woman. So the same tried, truistic bullshit that they've been propagating in every new wave feminist film for the last 45 years.
New wave feminist. What's your listing of these new wave feminist films, Ben? Like, the way you guys talk, you would think there's this huge pile of movies coming from Hollywood that just, like, shit on men 24/7 and, like, you know, and, like, all-star women. And, like, even this example that you're citing, the fucking Barbie movie, does not meet this qualification. So what are you talking about, Ben?
In the United States is now essentially telescoped into this one speech from America Ferrera, including a few cutaway shots of Margot Robbie looking up adoringly at America Ferrera as she explains that it's super hard to be a woman. It's so damn difficult to be a woman. You know why? Because of the patriarchy, because of the men. That's the actual story of the film. And then they make a couple of other dumb references, right? The Zack Snyder cut. The men, they like the Zack Snyder cut. Wow, that's terrible. Okay, fine. Then they say, you know what we need to do? We need to disabuse all of these Barbies of the patriarchy. How are we going to do this? We need to allow them to live with the cognitive dissonance required to be a woman under the patriarchy. That's a line from Barbie. Now again, they keep doing this. They keep having Barbie drop these extremely literate and well-articulated lines, but she's supposed to be a plastic doll idiot.
Authority should derive from the consent of the governed, not from the threat of force.
It doesn't matter. What is their actual strategy? So they have 48 hours to stop this vote, which shouldn't be happening in the first place because it makes no plot sense. Because the men are fascists and the women are victims. But somehow they've been given 48 hours to stop the vote. So what are they going to do to stop this vote?
Well, it's almost like they have the opportunity to vote. It's almost like it's saying that the men that you're trying to say this movie is portraying as being, like, super evil are not actually super evil. Isn't that weird, Ben? It's almost like they're a collection of sympathetic characters that are all kind of messing up.
How are they going to do it? Well,
because I think it's worth noting that essentially part of the point of this movie is that, yes, the men take over Barbie Land because they've been treated like underclass citizens, so they take it over. And the point ends up being that, like, hey, we all need to do better. Like, you can't take over and we can't take over either. Like, we kind of just need to equal this shit out. Like, we can't just control each other like this. It's not cool.
They're going to separate the men and the women.
Barbie!
They're going to turn all the Barbies against the Kens. It's so subtle. The symbolism is so subtle. Turn all the women against the men and you will save society. That's the message, that you could be...
Is that the message of the movie, Ben? Because it's not remotely, but okay.
Shoveling directly into the brain of your 8-year-old girl, if you so choose, this weekend.
Maximum volume.
So, they literally say this: get the Barbies away from their Kens. How are they going to achieve this? Well, they're going to make the men complacent and then take their power. This is how women have achieved power. Now, let me just digress briefly here in how women actually achieved power in Western civilization. The answer is that they lobbied men and men gave it to them. That is the actual answer as to how women achieve power in Western civilization. The amendment to the Constitution that allowed women to vote was passed solely by men because women couldn't vote. It turns out there are a lot of good-hearted men out there who like women and who want women to be able to live lives that they want. It turns out that many of us...
Why didn't they get it by default, Ben? They had to fight for that amendment to the Constitution. It took a lot of protest. Women died to get that vote, Ben. Like, the question is, like they've had to fight for where they're at. And yeah, things are better than they were. But like, your whole argument right now is that, oh, women just asked for it and men got it. That is such a simplistic view of history. That's not remotely how it happened, dude.
Our husbands and fathers, many of us have daughters. Many of us love the people we're married to. It turns out that actually describes a huge number of Western men, that we are not your enemies. And yet the entire premise of the movie is that what actually happened in the feminist movement is that women seized the power away.
So your argument right now is because some men aren't sexist, sexism doesn't exist? That's not a great argument, Ben.
Away from the men. I'm sorry to break it to you, ladies. It ain't true. It ain't true. This notion that women vote as a block is not true. Married women vote very much like their husbands, actually. Single women vote more like a block now than they did before. But it turns out that people are individuals, and some women vote one way and some men vote another way. But again, the idea here is very simplistic. Men versus women. Battle royale. And that's what this literally turns into, a battle royale between the women and the men. But really, it's about...
Oh, Ben, did you miss it when the men were turned against each other? Because that was actually the battle royale. The men fought each other. Like, it was a pretty big scene. Did you pay attention?
Getting the men to fight each other. They bring all the Barbies one by one. They distract them.
Okay, so he's getting at that now. Okay.
And they bring the Barbies in one by one, and they unbrainwash them. How do they unbrainwash them? Well, they tell them truths, like, any power you have must be masked under a giggle. I have a question. I mean, I work with a lot of women. Do they feel like the power that they have has to be masked under a giggle? Was this film written in 1943? Who wrote this film?
Wow, it's almost like it's written with a perspective in mind. Weird, right?
Well, we know who wrote this film. A feminist writer who gets paid.
Yeah, she's a feminist because she's a woman and she has the vagina. Therefore, feminist and evil, right? Right? Ah.
Millions of dollars to make horse. One of them says, we have to reject men's advances without damaging their ego. Or, theoretically, you could just reject men's advances and damage their ego because what do you care? You have to pretend to be confused about money.
The point is they don't want to be mean. Ben, oh my God. The point is they actually do like men and... Okay.
Is this a real thing? Like, do women pretend to be confused about money so the men will explain it to them? This is also... it's such a claptrap. And then my...
It's a joke, Ben. It's a joke.
My very favorite. Do you want some pants? Because that's really what this is about, is women really, really want to wear pants. That demonstrates the power of the patriarchy is that men really don't want women to wear pants, and women really, really want to wear pants.
Love your leg warmers.
Nice ass cut.
And then it's, all the men being victimized, all the Kens being victimized by these various tactics, up to and including Ryan Gosling hitting on a trans woman, meaning a dude who has a voice.
It's a fucking Dr. Barbie. It's not a trans woman. It's a Dr. Barbie. Pay attention to the fucking movie.
Deeper than Ryan Gosling's, which is an actual scene in the film.
Okay, I did not register her voice at all, so I don't think it's remotely as deep as he's talking about.
Which is just great. Okay, so then, final step. Finally, the women have been disabused. So now they're going to play the ultimate prank. The ultimate prank is that they are going to turn the men against each other. How are they going to turn the men against each other? They're going to turn the men against each other by switching partners. They're going to get together, and Barbie is going to be with Ken, classic Barbie and classic Ken. They're going to be together, but then they're going to move on to the other Kens, and the Kens are going to start fighting each other over the ladies because they're going to switch over. Now, not to put too fine a point on this, but this makes no sense at all, because guess what would happen if a bunch of beautiful women decided to switch to other men simultaneously? You know what the men would do? They would throw a party. So they turn the men against each other, and then
Ben, it's almost like it's a world run by dolls, controlled by dolls, and it's not quite the real world, and they're just toys.
Then we get a 20-minute long segment of the Kens fighting each other using various implements ranging from like small bows and arrows with sticky cups at the end to tennis rackets.
Well, Ben, how many guns do you think there are going to be in Barbie Land? How many swords do you think there'll be in fucking Barbie Land? It's not exactly a place I envision being filled with fucking weapons.
And that turns into a musical number.
I'm just a kid, where I see love, she sees a friend.
What does any of this have to do with the plot? Nothing. Literally nothing. It is just a 15-minute digression because they wanted to insert a crappy musical number with not particularly good dancing.
It was actually pretty funny, and I actually liked the dancing part. I thought they did a good job with it. Yeah, okay, Ben, you can not like it, but like, dude, that's like the only critique I might give you. Like, it's like, okay, so you don't like the dancing part. Cool, fine. Everything else is bad.
And then what are the women doing during this time? The women are voting. The women are voting. So now we know the Democratic turnout strategy. The Democratic turnout strategy in 2024 is going to be to get all of the Republicans to fight with one another using tennis rackets while they go and they do the voting, apparently. So they go and they vote. After they vote, they reestablish exactly basically how it was, the matriarchy.
No, they don't, Ben. No, they don't. But you know what? You can go ahead and say they did, because, I mean, they don't. It's all about, like, them figuring out the middle ground. Figuring out, hey, the way the world was before wasn't good. The way the world is now definitely isn't good. So maybe we need to work things out.
Matriarchy is reestablished. And Ken, who is now really sad because he has lost his power, and all he wanted in the first place was just to be treated decently by Barbie. Is he treated?
Yes. Yes, and that's the resolution of the movie. Now, he doesn't get to bang... Well, I thought they say get ready to bang her. They're dolls. They don't bang. But he doesn't get to hook up with her because the whole point is that he has to figure out who he is. One thing that you learn as an adult is that you have to figure out who you are, sans partner. Like, it's nice to have a partner to go through your life with. Beautiful. Great thing. And I don't want to knock that. But, like, one of the most important things to be as an adult is to figure out who you are. And just to appreciate that. And that's one of the morals of this movie. The main moral of this movie.
Treated decently at the end by Barbie? Of course he isn't. That would be silly. At the very end, he is told that he needs to learn to live without Barbie.
I just don't know who I am without you.
You're Ken.
But it's Barbie and Ken. There is no just Ken.
He who was literally created as a doll to be with...
Yes, and they have to evolve to get to that point. It's very tricky.
With Barbie, he needs to learn to be apart from Barbie, and she needs to learn to be apart from him, because Adam...
Yes, they need to figure out who they are without each other. They need to evolve as human beings, because they're learning to be human beings, because they're fucking dolls.
Atomistic isolation and loneliness is the best way to find fulfillment, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be best for Ken if he never sees Barbie again. It'll be better for Barbie if she never sees Ken again. Secular humanism is at its finest. We've reached the apotheosis. Men and women don't belong together. They belong very, very much apart.
No. That's not the moral of the movie. The moral of the movie is that you should accept yourself as you are. And expecting like, that's part of it. Like, these dolls are evolving to be more human. And Barbie doesn't want to be with Ken at this moment because Ken, pretty much his whole driving force, is that he wants to be with Barbie. And he needs to figure out who he is without that. Just strip Barbie away. Who is Ken? And he needs to figure that out. And that's important. And that's important for her to learn as well. Like, they just need to learn to accept each other, which is the point of the movie.
This is all topped off by Issa Rae calling somebody a motherfucker. Again, perfect for your 7-year-old girl who loves Barbie.
PG-13 movie. Just gotta keep on saying it. He keeps on saying it's made for 7-year-old girls. It's a fucking PG-13 movie, Ben. Come on.
Barbie dolls. Just perfect for her. And so we learn that men and women are supposed to be separate. They are not supposed to be together.
That's not the moral. That is not remotely the moral, Ben. I know, like, it's tough. Like, when you're a failed screenwriter, it's tough to actually read shit. I understand.
And that maybe the matriarchy will allow the men not to be on the Supreme Court of Barbie Land, but maybe they can get some lower circuit court judgeships. This is what we learn. And we learn one day the Kens might have as much power and influence in Barbie world as women have in the real world. Because, of course, women are again, just absolutely subjugated in the real world. You think that's the end of the movie? Wrong. This thing has more.
I mean, we've been over that. Yeah. Well, though I do like the adventure of this video that Ben has taken us on. His whole argument that essentially we don't live in a patriarchy, only to come to a point where he explains that we live in a patriarchy pretty nicely, as a joke. So, good way to debunk yourself, Ben.
More endings than Lord of the Rings. So, ending number 1 is we find out that Ken is going to live apart from Barbie and he's going to find himself in being Ken. Ugh.
Yeah, that's an important thing for everybody to do. To find yourself. Like that, like you can't just build your whole personality around like getting with a person, with a specific person. That's just not, it's not a good way to be. Just, you gotta find yourself.
The utter joy of self-exploration. Next, we get an ending in which the CEO of Mattel, who's been completely sidelined. You remember the CEO of Mattel? Remember he was supposed to be chasing them into Barbie Land for no apparent reason? So he's
Yes, because the real world was getting messed up. I like how he keeps on saying no apparent reason. Yeah, the real world was being affected by things the Kens were doing, and that's why he went. Not deep.
Now in Barbie Land, we don't know why he's there or what he's there to do, except that we need Will Ferrell in the movie to provide no laughs. You know?
Well, I just explained it, but okay.
Doesn't provide any laughs. So he shows up. His motivation throughout this movie has been completely inconsistent. He started off wanting to put Barbie back in Barbie Land so that they could make money. And then he is told at one point that when Kens have taken over Kendom, they will make just as much money. He's like, no, that cannot be. I'm an ideologue on behalf of women. And then he arrives and he is told that America Ferrera wants to make ordinary Barbie, which, by the way, would sell 0. Anyway, that will be profitable. And so now...
Maybe. We'll have to see. I don't know if they're actually making that, but the joke was, hey, the executive shot it down immediately, because that's the joke, because she presents it, and Will Ferrell hears it and says, that will sell nothing. And then the accountant guy behind him says, oh, actually it'll sell a lot. And Will Ferrell says, okay, we're doing it. Because it's all about fucking money in the real world.
He wants to make ordinary Barbie because he's back to being uber capitalist, evil capitalist. He's making money off of Barbie because, again, Mattel are bad guys, but they're also the good guys. But they're kind of bad guys, but they're mostly the good, but they're a little...
They're capitalists, Ben. Pay attention. They're capitalists. I know it's a very deep and layered and intellectual movie that I can see why it's going over Ben Shapiro's head.
Bad. And so that's ending number 2 at this point. So we have the Barbie Ken ending. We have the CEO of Mattel ending, where he says, we'll make ordinary Barbie, and then girls all over the world will know that ordinariness is fine and okay. Because it's not that girls play with Barbie because they think that she's beautiful and it's aspirational. No, it's bad. Okay, so then we have ending number 3. You think you're done? Wrong. We're now 2 hours deep into this piece of shit. And we have now dug halfway to China, and we are going to keep digging. So we have ending number 3. Rhea Perlman shows up to lecture us all about the patriarchy again. You haven't heard it enough. You got to beat the...
Is that what she was doing? She was lecturing? I just remember her talking to Barbie about the choice that she was going to present her.
This sucker into the ground. We are going to take an axe, the blunt end of the axe, and we're just going to beat this thing to death. I'm just going to beat it to death. So Rhea Perlman shows up because Barbie, it turns out, she spent too much time in the real world. That was the patriarchy, and was terrible. So terrible that she wanted to stop it from happening in Barbie Land. But now she wants to go back there because she actually learned some feelings over in the real world. So she decides that after all, this whole story was just Pinocchio, that she just wants to be a real boy. And in what can only be termed a sort of bait and switch, at the very end of the film, just to please the core audience, which is moms and daughters, they insert a bunch of footage, I kid you not, like home video footage of moms and daughters playing. That's what it is. Like people living their lives in female ways. Because Rhea Perlman is going to show Barbie what it's like to be a human, and then Barbie is going to say that she really wants to be a human just like you, just like you. And so they hit you with the nostalgia play. At the very end, the whole movie, which should have been nostalgia and about moms and daughters, instead, the entire movie is not that. The entire movie is instead about how men are evil and terrible. And also...
So, Ben, I mean, I know you saw the mom and daughter relationship that is prominent in this movie because you've talked about it. But there's literally, like, the main character from the real world, America Ferrera, I don't remember the name of the character, but like she brings her daughter to Barbie Land, and their relationship is explored through this movie. So yes, that is a thing that is explored through this movie.
Mattel is evil and terrible. And then at the very end, they shove in this little nostalgia play in the hope that they can buy back the audience at the very end of the film.
Well, DJ, he completely, like, he ignored the fact that, like, essentially the beginning of the movie was essentially the Barbie Land was like a matriarchy, and the Kens eventually rise up and aren't happy. He missed all that because that doesn't fit his purposes.
And Barbie decides that she is going to be a real woman now. Now, when she goes, that's ending number 3. There's still one more. So, when that happens, when she goes...
Wait, ending... That's pretty much the ending of the movie. Are you going to call the essentially the throwaway joke at the end, the fourth ending? It's just a joke at the end. It's a funny joke. I'll give it that. But, like, yeah.
Goes to, when she goes into this white area that's supposed to be heaven, because the person who she's talking, Rhea Perlman, is actually the person who actually created the doll. And we're supposed to be, this was supposed to be a secret, because the Mattel was run by men, but the big secret all along is that a woman created the doll. News. It's not a secret. She was CEO of the company for 30...
The movie references that, Ben. You keep on bringing this up, and yes, it was referenced in the fucking movie, dude. They didn't ignore it. Like...
years. CEO of Mattel for 30 years, like 1945 to 1975. Until the IRS caught her for tax evasion or something. The big reveal that the patriarchy said that it created Barbie, it didn't. No one thought the patriarchy created Barbie. Again, don't bother with the...
Did they say that specifically in the movie? I don't recall that line being, whatever. He's just going to say whatever fits his narrative.
Facts, don't bother with sense, don't bother with...
This is a really great Barbie and Oppenheimer review, by the way. He covers them both so well.
It's chronology, none of it matters. So, Barbie is now sent back to the real world, and she is now going to experience the apotheosis of what it means to be a human woman. So we've learned early on in the movie, when she goes to the real world, she's catcalled by a bunch of the construction guys, and she says, "I don't have a vagina." And she, again, amazing line for your 7-year-old girl. She'll love it.
Well, number 1, PG-13 movie. Again, Ben, PG-13. Just point that out. Number 2, she doesn't. She literally doesn't.
So apparently, when she is turned into a real woman, she has now grown a vagina. So
yes, because if she's a real woman, she has a vagina. Because that's... Real women have vaginas, Ben. Of course. I mean, we're dealing with the guy whose doctor wife apparently told him that women aren't supposed to get wet in their vagina. So, probably he may not know that. Oh, goddamn, man.
So the first thing that she does is she goes to the gynecologist, because, ladies, the apotheosis of your being is not motherhood. We got rid of that at the very beginning. And it's not being a wife or a partner, because women are supposed to be apart from men. It is...
Totally not things said in this movie, but sure.
Is your vagina. It is that you go to the gynecologist. Ladies, this is what makes you the most human you can be.
Okay, so, no, but it is a key element of being a human woman that, like, it's a joke, Ben. It's literally a joke, because it's a key part of being a human woman that most people don't even think about, because, like, they're building up this scene, like, where it's like, oh, wow, this is an exciting moment, what are you gonna do? And you're like, what? I'm thinking, like, she's doing, like, some sort of job or something that she's excited to do. No, she's doing her first gynecological visit, and it's a joke. It's... Jesus.
Is that you go to the gynecologist. Now, I could point out here that that's really transphobic. That according to the same people who made this movie...
What the fuck? Oh my god. I think that... Okay, so... Oh my god, I'm having trouble. It's trans. So, Barbie becoming a real woman and getting a vagina means it's transphobic. Because I'm sure Ben's reaction would be really reasonable if she went to the real world and got a penis, right? No, She's a doll. She became a real woman, and she's got a vagina. And the joke is that, like, women have vaginas, and, like, they don't usually talk about that, but this is just part of being a woman is going to see the gynecologist. It just is. It's, again, and there's no, like, trans representation in this movie. There's no gay representation in this movie, because most of the characters are fucking dolls. But yeah, the movie is transphobic because she has a vagina. Because, God, he's so, like, he's like Mr. Fantastic. He's stretching and contorting this into what he wants it to be. It's ridiculous.
Movie, not all women have vaginas, and not all people with penises are men. I could point that out right here. Because
Ben, it is, like, you already did the reference. It's the Pinocchio story. It's the Pinocchio story, bro. Fucking hell.
Because it obviously conflicts with the very ending of the film. But instead, I'm going to go with this one. At the end of all of this, they've boiled down. They have a whole conversation about identity and death and meaning. Right? This whole conversation. What does it boil down to at the very end? What it boils down to at the very end, apparently, is being biologically female is the only thing that matters. And
is that your read, Ben? Yeah, I liked, like, you know what? When it comes to, like, the themes, yeah, the movie does say them quite a bit, and I love the speech where Barbie, like, looks dead in the camera. She looks dead in the camera, and she goes, the key to being a woman is being a biological woman and having a vagina and being alone. That was a great scene in this movie. That never fucking happened, except apparently in Ben Shapiro's fucking brain.
That's it, kind of. That's it. Like, it all just boils down to a lady at the gynecologist. That's female power. Female power is Barbie goes to gynecologist.
That's just part of that's not female power. That's part of the experience of being a woman. Because, like, okay. It's just it, man. It's not deep.
Gynecologist. Which, I don't know about you ladies, but that seems like that's not, like, the most feminist message. That lady parts are...
It's a fucking joke.
Are the entirety of the lady. So excellent job. And with that, we end the film, and then we have the glossy, credits.
I mean, like, if they had gone for a more empowering ending rather than just the joke, he would complain that it's an empowering ending, and now he's complaining that it was just a joke. Like, there's no winning with these fucking people. It's ridiculous.
With a Nicki Minaj song, a Nicki Minaj version of "I'm a Barbie Girl in a Barbie World." This movie started off as Barbie, and it was Weird Barbie. It was the toy that was handed off to Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig, and they played with it too hard. They decided that they were going to turn it inside out. They're going to rip off the hair. They were going to shave it. They were going to make it ugly. They were going to put all sorts of makeup on it, and then they were going to throw it out in the public. Now, those of us who are on the right, we look at the politics of this movie, we're like, man, so it sounds like a double sandwich. It doesn't sound like a Big Mac. It sounds like a double Big Mac. Right? It sounds like the plot is crap, and the characters are crap, and the humor is crap, and then on top of that, the politics are crap. But you're missing the point. There's a reason this film has 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. And the reason is, if you are on the left, you can make one of the world's most boring, crappy comedies. You can waste an extraordinary amount of money and talent. You can waste some of the great IP ever created. But as long as you slather it in a bunch of warmed over glorious Steinem nonsense, the critics will just salivate over you. They'll pretend that this is an actual good movie.
So he's saying this movie is on the left, and I guess you could make that argument, but that's only because the right have moved the Overton windows so ridiculously far to the right that's fucking weird. But, like, the moral of this movie is that everybody essentially should be happy with themselves. That's it. So I would ask Ben, I would ask, honestly, not even Ben, just anybody on the right, what is your issue with that moral? What offends you about that moral? What is wrong with that moral? I'm kind of wondering. In fact, I'm going to get lots of haters when I repost this. So, haters, I want you to make sure to go ahead and like and subscribe to this video. Make sure to sign up for my Patreon and all that good stuff. And leave me a comment and explain what Your issue is with men and women appreciating themselves and being happy with who they are.
So here's my prediction in terms of market. The marketing campaign for this movie has been astonishingly good, right? If you walked into this movie and you knew nothing of what I just said, what would you think this movie is? You would think that this movie was probably something like the Disney movie Enchanted, but with Barbie. It's going to be Barbie in Barbie Land, and then it's going to be Barbie in the real world, and it's going to be charming, and it's going to be funny, and it's going to be warm-hearted.
I'm trying to think. There are elements. There are definitely elements that are similar. It's not 100% the same, but I mean, there are elements. Like,
it's not going to be vicious and cynical. It's not going to be what morons talk about at Hollywood cocktail parties. It's just going to be fun. It's going to be a place where a mom might be able to take her 7-year-old or 8-year-old girl and enjoy themselves together and then walk out with their arms around each other. You might think that's what it was going to be. And undoubtedly, millions of moms and their daughters will think that. That's what you're seeing at the theaters. That's why you're seeing everybody wearing pink to the theaters. It's become like a Star Wars kind of thing, right? It's an actual cosplay of it. The number of moms who are going to take their daughters back to the theater week 2, good luck with that. Really, good luck with that.
We already looked at it. It's great.
Hollywood decided to empty out its own IP here. They decided they were going to take a golden piece of IP and they were just going to smash it and turn it into Weird Barbie. And I got to tell you, and this is going to have some ramifications for Barbie the brand. I don't know why Barbie the brand would hand this property over to people who clearly hate the property. In the real world, the patriarchy rules. Men are really bad. Women need to separate off from men and hate men in order to be unblinded to the patriarchy, and then they can overthrow the patriarchy and create paradise. That is the thesis of the film.
No, it's not. But sure, Ben. Sure. We already went over this.
Last comment. Whenever I do film reviews like this, lengthy film reviews of movies like this, the left is always like, why are you taking this so seriously? How dare you take this so seriously?
It's a good question. Dude, you're a conservative, oh my God, you're a conservative middle-aged white guy, and apparently your employees forced you to see the fucking Barbie movie, and you came out saying, this movie pissed me off. Yeah, it's the fucking Barbie movie, dude. Not for you.
Well, because this is a movie where hundreds of millions of dollars will be expended to get people to watch it. It has a heavily political message. It is explicitly...
What? Okay, so what about the heavily political message do you have an issue with, though, Ben? What about it?
...designed to divide men from women. It has these negative messages directed at kids. It is supposed to be a kids movie. It's rated PG-13. It is not marketed to PG-13. It is marketed to PG. It is marketed to moms who are going to...
It's, okay, the marketing... You do understand there's a difference between the marketing of a movie and the actual movie itself, right?
Skip the PG-13 rating and bring their daughters there anyway. It's a culturally relevant moment, a very culturally relevant moment. And so the entire left's attempts to play the face tattoo syndrome, watch as we take a piece of children's IP and wear its skin around like a mask, like Hannibal Lecter, and we notice it, and then they're like, you noticed it? You're obviously very upset. I find it upsetting when material that is based on children's IP, marketed to little girls, actually ends up being angry feminist claptrap that alienates men from women, undermines basic human values, and promotes falsehood all at the same time.
You have failed to establish how this movie does any of that. The closest you've done is essentially lie about this movie. That's it. You lied about this movie a bit, and then you're saying, aha, I solved it. This movie is hating men. And it's like, no, it isn't. You're just lying about it.
And I think a lot of people are going to have a right to be mad. So we'll see what the income trajectory of this film is. By the way, it's just going to die in China. The overseas market for this film, good luck with the Chinese Communist government putting...
Well, okay, I don't even know if this has been released, but, we'll revisit the box office. We already looked at it. I want to revisit it at the end of this video, though. I'm still waiting for your fucking Oppenheimer review, Ben.
There are kids in front of this sort of stuff. It is not going to happen. Final rating. Out of 10 Barbies, how many Barbies? 10 out of 10 being good. The answer is negative all the Barbies. Negative all of them. I honestly, just as a piece of film, this sucker goes in like my bottom 10 ever. Ever. It is that bad. Not just because of the politics.
So either he's lying, which I'm going to put in the camp and say that he's lying on that one, or he just hasn't seen that many movies. Because literally, even if you don't like this, if you watch this and think it's one of the worst movies ever made, then you just haven't seen that many movies.
Because the plot makes no sense. Because the writing makes no sense. Because the acting half the time. Makes no sense. The entire film is a dog's vomit. It is a dog's breakfast of film. So yeah, I'm gonna go with negative infinity Barbies. It is that bad. If 10 out of 10 Barbies is like the stereotypical Barbie, this is Barbie head atop the robot body made by the weird kid from Toy Story 1. That's what this is. And also, by the way, Oppenheimer's good.
Oppenheimer, the movie about a leftist who builds the nuclear bomb and the right-wing people who persecute him for it. Yes. Yes, Ben liked that one. So yeah, let's look at some box office numbers. Look at this fucking bomb right here. It hasn't even made $800 million last. Second weekend, it can't make $800 million. Fucking bomb. It's probably gonna take at least 3 weeks to cross $1 billion. What a bomb! Ridiculous. I don't know if it's been released in the Chinese market. Let's see. It has been released in China. That is, actually, I'm kind of surprised. I wasn't expecting to get released in China. But it has made $25 million in China. What a bomb. This movie's just bombing. Doing so poorly. It won't make it. It hasn't been released in Japan. Interesting. But no, this is Ben. This is Ben's angle. My producers forced me to watch Barbie because they are my employees. It's all an angle. He just can't handle. Apparently, it's interesting how they all come out of the woodwork whenever there's like a prominent woman director who's like doing well, and you just can't let that happen too long. So you gotta take them down a notch when they make what is probably going to be the most successful movie of the year. I don't know like how it tracks next to Mario. Is there a versus I can find somewhere? I'd be interested to see how it's tracking next to Mario, but it has a strong chance of being the biggest movie of the year right now. It wasn't just Barbie, but the whole Barbenheimer event, essentially. I don't know how else to describe it. The Barbenheimer event gave theaters their biggest weekend since Avengers Endgame. So, yeah, this is a huge hit. And apparently, since there's too many women involved, you just got crap on it. And like I said, there's no trans people in this movie. There's no trans representation in this movie. There's no gay representation. It is literally just it's just dolls. It's just dolls, and that's it. And Ben is kind of a beta. He just can't handle the fact that, like, how dare this movie say that men and women be equal and respect each other equally? I don't know how else to describe it. It's interesting.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.